Hey guys, welcome to the call today. Appreciate everybody being here, and appreciate you guys being flexible with the change on day. So, welcome you guys to the call. Where's my looking for my PowerPoint? Hang on. Oh, I see why I'm not the presenter. Hang on, I'll fix it. There we go. Let me know if the audio's okay. I'm gonna have Sean come in and kind of guest in with us today. All right. Okay, guys, welcome to the call today. This is one of our Pain by Numbers calls for insurance, and we're going to talk role play today. I had thought about doing the niche overview, but I realized that a lot of you guys just want role play. And while we don't have all the answers, we've been talking to a lot of agents every day, and we can give some feedback and take some questions. We're going to do another Q&A call anyway, but this is more of like interaction. These are the kind of things that we're hearing on a regular basis. So just to kind of set the groundwork for the call, we're speaking about the Paint by Numbers insurance system. So you may be here with our Revenue Boosters team, or you may be here because you're participating in the Paint by Numbers insurance group. Doesn't really matter. We're gonna kind of delve into this. We will have a guest speaker on an upcoming call, I think next week. We're just trying to nail down the date for this person, and we will also have another Q&A call that you guys can kind of jump on. Today specifically, we'll just talk just some of the most common questions we're hearing. And depending on where you're at in the process, I saw Mike in here. I know Mike Elias is further along than some of you guys. You may be seeing some of these, or you may be hearing different ones. And log in any that you're kind of getting and we can share with the group. There's no single right answer. So let me see. All right. So role play. Let's see. Sorry, guys. All right, one of the biggest that we get, almost every phone conversation or email conversation, and this is a great question. How much does it cost? And so when somebody asks this, they're obviously interested. They want the benefit that the service provides, but they want to figure out, can they afford it, or does it make sense for them to spend money on it? Okay. Yeah, thanks, John, for lobbing that in, and Roger. And Roger, I agree on that point. We'll come back to that. So how much does it cost really depends on what you decide to charge. So I spoke about this in one of the modules we recorded, but there's really three models. You can do a flat fee. So flat fee, you can provide the service. You can either generate demand, i.e., basically use like the voice drop system the way we show you to generate calls, or you can generate leads, which on number 2 there, the per lead fee, pretty reasonable to get $20, $25 an exclusive lead. You generate a call and you charge them. And then finally, more of a hybrid where you mix and match. So for us, we're doing option 1 right now. We're not doing the per lead model. Just to kind of shake things up. So we're charging a set price, for unlimited demand based upon, what we give them. So we give them 3 tiers. So when they ask, we usually answer the question directly, but out of the discussion on the phone is we send our proposal over. And we're going to give multiple price choices, tiers, if you will, so that they have the chance to say no to something without rejecting it outright. And they have the chance to maybe spend more than I thought they were going to spend. Yeah, and here's a great question from Ken. All of our pipeline is annual based. So Ken said, is it realistic about 4734 for potential clients? That's the annual value of a client. So everything I do is based on an annual number, not a monthly number. Because I don't want to see it that somebody's a one-time client. I want to see what's the relationship worth for the year. So it's a really good question. So kind of tied into pricing, right? So it's up to you how you want to show it. You can say, what is the monthly, and you can track it that way. But a lot of people, and more the people I know that are doing pretty well, like to track things annually, because I want to look at revenue across the board. Like, what's the deal worth? And sometimes a deal may have a large upfront and then a monthly. And I like to know what's the total value of the relationship. So that's kind of what we're doing. And depending on the stage, we just put them in different stages. So you can do whatever you guys want on that. But I advise you to make sure you have a proposal stage and, a stage where you're in pricing discussions after the proposal, obviously the one stage and a contact made. You can have as many or as few as you want. But anyway, so one of the questions we're getting is, how much does it cost? Anytime you get that, it's one of the best questions you can get because it allows you to then respond with you're going to answer them on the phone, but we then give them a written proposal. Not rocket science. We shoot it over and boom. Awesome. I'm going to come back to a bunch of these questions, you guys. Yeah, so Ken said he's having a problem. He's getting buyers up front, but he's not getting repurchase business. So he's got 6 clients, but he's not getting repeat buyers. And he said they're getting between 18 and 30% callback. So what we do, Ken, is we put them on recurring right at the beginning. So we don't even give them the chance to be one-off. The only way we're going to go and give somebody a one-off opportunity is if Sean makes the decision that it makes sense. But everybody is set up recurring out of the gate. So yeah, and on Sean's end, no interest in one-offs at all.
Mention it, but no interest.
So yeah, we avoid it like the plague, but it's good feedback. Let me see if there's anybody else on pricing before we skip this. Yeah, Bud, we can do that. Bud Clark. Let's see. All right, so what do I get? Now, this question comes up a lot. I heard Sean answering this one the other day because he does a lot of his calls on speaker, so I'm able to peer in and just kind of listen. What do I get? Once again, it totally changes based upon what you're selling. If you're selling leads or calls. So for us, like I said before, we're selling demand generation. We're not doing it per lead. We can. We're just, right now we're not. We're trying to differentiate a little bit, in our mind from the lead providers because there's a lot of lead providers. So we wanted to be different. So we actually give them, hang on, let me pull up and I'll tell you what we tell people for this. Here's what you get, Bob. This is the mythical Bob here. We custom list generation. So we cultivate a marketing list specific to your preferences, both geographical and socioeconomic. We provide a ringless voicemail contact that delivers a message directly to your customer phone without ever dialing a number or ringing a device. We provide call tracking. I go into call tracking, custom marketing script preparation. We do script split testing, call tracking and reporting to track response rate per script. We have multiple voice artists that we can use to record your script, both in English and Spanish. If you all need any help on Spanish too, we can help you if that's of benefit. So we go through this, and then what we also tell them is, here's an example. Here's a cheapy one. 1,500 done for you. Landline credits, 500 cell phone credits, done for you. The list generation, the setup. I have white glove setup. Professional message, and blah, blah, blah. And we go through this, and at the end of the day, all we're really doing is stacking value on what do I get. All right. Let's see. So, man, my phone, you guys, is ringing off the hook. Jean Calenda. So if you are talking to her, tell her I'm on the call. So this is one we get. Y'all be familiar with this yourself. What if I don't use all of my credits? Now, we actually thought about expiring their credits, forcing them to use it each month. We just made the decision as we were kind of building up the customer base that we will tell them that we'll roll it over from 1 month to another. But we haven't had to do that ever because we're always using all the credits. Because what we're trying to do is generate the highest possible result. So the last thing we want to do is only generate 60% of the result and save some for another month. Because, like to Ken's point, if we don't generate and show enough business value, then you're not going to keep the client. If you're doing lead gen and you don't generate enough leads, then you're not going to keep the client. So it's a sliding scale, but we in general always use everything. And we talk to them, we get them on board, obviously, but it just makes a lot of sense for us.
Brian, can I say one
thing?
Yeah,
go ahead, John.
Also, hey, when they exhaust their credits, when they have a couple successful campaigns, especially at that low level, then they need to bump up to another, pricing tier, which is kind of how I work it. It's pretty simple. They're having a lot of good success at the low level. Hey guys, you can run bigger campaigns, more campaigns, but you need to step up to the next pricing level, which is X. And that's usually how we work it.
So let me give you some feedback from Bob. This is really good. We haven't had this, but I think it makes total sense. Bob said, the beauty of rollover is it's good to allow somebody to bank for a large campaign. Maybe they do want to do nothing this month, but next month they're going to hit it running. They got 1 or 2 new agents coming in the office, right? Or maybe they can't come to an immediate consensus on direction. The fact is they can still pay you without losing their credits.
Correct.
Which makes a lot of sense, and so totally agree with Bob on that. All right. This is a big one. And let me tell you, I'll let Sean tell you a story that we just had yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Can you give me this list or that list? And so on the voice drop side, within reason, our team can come up with almost any list you need at no cost to you guys as a member. Now, we had one that kind of stumped us the other day. It was on pot.
Medical marijuana. Medical marijuana dispensaries was a niche that somebody wanted to tackle or try.
All right, so think about it. We don't have a list. We don't have that data. So we upsold the guy for $100. We get the data. Now all we did, you guys, I think Nikki did it. We scraped a list of medical marijuana dispensaries in Colorado and I think
California, Washington, Oregon.
So that's all we did. We created a list. The guy was ecstatic. I'll come back to why he was ecstatic and stuff later. I think we have a slide on that. But yeah, trust me, don't underestimate or don't forget to stack value on the value of the whole list side. Whether you're generating leads or generating demand, a lot of value. Let's see. Can we stagger the calls or all at once? I know I saw that from somebody here. Yeah, we always tell people we can do either. So as an example, right now, just coming in to the office, we do 250, 350 every day that go out and come in. That's to us. Now, when we have a customer, we always, the last thing we want to do is crush them out in one day. Sean remembers all too well when he first started, we did tree companies, and I think it wasn't even that many. It was like 1,500 or 1,800, but the message was so good and so powerful that he got like 300 callbacks. And it ruined the whole campaign because he couldn't follow up with them. There was too many. Nobody could. So we space it depending on the size of the team. So the answer they want to hear is yes, and the answer is, of course, yes.
Right.
Let's see. And let me come back. Let's see. All right. We get this one. This is Sean got today. What if I have multiple agents in our office? So using a tracking number software, like you guys know we use ACT, you can rotate calls between people. round robin function, etc. Right? So you could say these 4 phone numbers, split the calls between them. Now on the same notion, you can split between companies if it made sense, but obviously it doesn't in this case. So you can say these 4 people are in like a hunt group, and the calls split between them, or it rotates from one to another, etc. So this is a good question once again. So when you do get this question, you know that they have multiple people. You know they're probably willing to spend more money, and it's a question that should immediately cause you to pivot on your pricing. So if you're in early discussions with somebody and they ask about rotating, do a little homework before you just spout out a price. And when you hear this, odds are they're going to want to spend more because they have more people they want to provide leads to. So leads, calls, and I use those universally right now. All right.
Well, they want to spread their leads out equitably amongst the salespeople. So one big campaign goes to one salesperson one day. The other salespeople will get kind of teed off. They're not getting any calls or any leads. So
yeah,
that's why they're asking.
Totally
for the larger firms.
So we've got this question a bazillion times. There's a 3-parter. I put them on different slides. Will this work for life insurance, term or whole, right? Yes. Or will this work for P&C, property and casualty? Yep. How about healthcare? Yep.
Absolutely.
So all 3 of these are yeses. At the end of the day, these guys want to get right to the point. So a lot of times when we have a call, they're gonna come across, they're busy, like you're not, right? Look, I'm busy. Well, Sean, you tell me. When the one guy said he was busy, why don't you say exactly what he said?
No, this has been more than one time for me. It's either via email or a phone call. It's true. It's hey, I'm busy. Give me the 30-second sales pitch here to convince me this is something I'm interested in. They're busy people. They get a lot of solicitations all day long. I try to be. I'm not super long-winded as it is, so I try to be as brief as possible. Lay out the highlights of the program, 1, 2, 3, and get their attention. But that's very common. Hey, I don't have time. I get a lot of sales calls all day, different products. Give me your pitch, and that's how they operate.
So guys, the right to the point question. It's almost a question. It's a question comment, right? At the end of the day, they just want to net it out and figure out if it's for them. But when you net it out on the phone, you're going to then follow up with a proposal. And then you're going to follow up with them. Because if they don't make an immediate decision, I'm not the kind of guy, and I'm never going to be that guy that pressures somebody on the phone. I know other people like to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't do business that way, and I don't like to be treated that way. So I don't treat my prospects that way. Now, we follow up. Well, obviously, we send, we have an intelligent conversation. We send them a proposal. We ask them a question. Is this something you're ready to start today? And otherwise, we follow up a couple times. And if we get nowhere after a few times, we've done some follow-up, we put them in the pre-warm. And then we just, we let the email follow up with them. And then the email marketing hopefully will cause them to bubble back up. So before I go to, there's a lot of good questions in here, you guys, and I'm going to go to it in a second. Feedback on lists. So when we're talking to agents, they love the lists. They love the fact that you're able to generate the lists. Possibly the most popular, discussion point, other than making their phone ring, right? Every prospect or new customer loves it. And when they hit us with the medical marijuana, the guy fully expected we would just give him a no, and we said, well, we can create it, it's going to cost. Didn't bat an eye, we should have charged more. Our takeaway, we should charge $200, $250. We charged too little. So, not very hard to do. Most scrapers will find phone numbers of medical marijuana dispensaries in, X states, do them by city. It's not very hard to find. So, and you don't need a bazillion of them. You get a list of 300 or 400 of these, and they're ecstatic. So, just as an example. Let's see. Yeah, Randy, great point. He just said all the money is in the list.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'll just jump in here on the list, guys. I get asked this all the time for Medicare recipients or future recipients turning 65. So they ask me all the time, hey, I'd love to get my hands on a list of people's birthdays next year, I don't know, March, April, May 2017, of those people turning 65. Can you guys produce that list? Yes, we can. And they go, wow, that's great. I have the luxury of having the list generator right in front of me, so I can quickly, while I'm on the phone talking with these guys at the same time, say, hey, I'll just run a quick little list check for you. And you can come up with some massive numbers, and then they just go crazy.
Yeah, they love it. If you say you can do it,
yeah,
just simply being able to do it, they're happy with. But it ties into like healthcare being really responsive. So with that whole November to January thing for two or 3 months, it's hot. You know, there's urgency, there's scarcity going on. There's changes in the law. I'm not even remotely interested in this area, but I got to tell you, the people that we do talk to that are selling healthcare are hot and heavy about this, and they love it. So let me go back, though, on something Sean said on lists. Our turn time is typically less than a day. Last week, for some reason, we got hung up on something, but we did a bunch of them in like 2 and 3 hours yesterday. So you're getting your list pretty quick. Depending on what you want to do, you'll find that this is a way that you can stand out from anybody else. When you talk to them, talk up the value of having a highly targeted list. And I know I wanted to say Randy's point. Randy Lane just said, this is a beautiful takeaway. He said, we can tell them that he'll waive the cost of the list if they act now. So you can go ahead and say, list generation, $149 a month, on top of any package you want. Show it waived if they buy within X or Y, right? It's a great point, Randy. We're not even doing that. I love it. We're going to try it tomorrow. I mean, totally brilliant. We should be doing that. It's just a way to offer. We already know it has high perceived value. So now we're going to assign a value to it. And then in exchange for a decision, which before this date, you're going to give it to them for free. So very cool. All right, so let me jump. Let's see, and then I'm going to come back to your questions. We're not going to miss them, I promise. All right, so on the insurance side pricing, everybody we're speaking to is pretty comfortable in the $400 plus tier, $400 to $600 range. Now, in merchant services, we split pretty evenly. We had a $197 tier. And you know what? In insurance, we came out of the gate before we did this, and we were testing that 197. A lot of guys said, one guy said, I remember it vividly, 197's for chumps. How much can I spend? I want more than that. Don't even make a tier under $400. So get your first tier in that $400 range, $600, $700 range, $1,000 range. If you can see what we did on the pricing in the course and where we came in at. And we're tweaking ours. We actually are making some changes right now. We'll give you an update on what we decided to do, just based on feedback and how as you take more and more calls, things the real world happens and you change things. So moving on pricing. Let's see. Ken, I'll ask people that in the group. I actually don't know what they're charging per drop, but I'll ask them. Hang on. All right. Well, let me do that. Do that right now. Okay, so I'm going to take some of their questions. Sean has said these. Let's see. All right, Dan Hutchins said, are your clients month to month, or do you sign them up for 6 to 12 months? So what we do is we show them an annual price. We sign them up on a recurring payment, but we don't lock them in, Dan. If they want to quit, they're going to quit, and I'm not going to be able to keep them. The last thing I want to do is create another possible negative item that would stop them from signing up. So we set their mindset around an annual price, right, with a monthly payment, and there's no lock-in. And we play up the fact that we don't lock them in. Yeah, and like Bob just said, or Bob said a few minutes ago, The customer or the prospect should mentally invest for a year to allow for startup growth in year 2 planning. Yeah, if they don't commit on their end for a year, if they don't commit, at least in their head, now they can get out of it, so you don't have that fear of being locked into another gym membership, right? But if they're not thinking about the growth and planning over the long haul, then you got to get their mindset there. It's just a discussion. Now, Randy Lane said, should we charge a setup fee? Randy, we don't. Not saying it's not a good idea. I think you could charge $199 setup fee and maybe waive 50% of it and maybe make an easy $100. Or you can waive the whole thing, depending on X. It's one of those things, there's no one right answer to this.
Keep it simple.
We're just keeping it simple. We're not charging one. Maybe we'll try adding one in to see if we close more, if we add it in and then take it away as a promotion. Let's see. Hang on, I'm looking for a response on. Sean, will you go the right side of your board?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about over there, top right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just bring it out so I can read that. Sorry, there's a question, but I need to copy it off the board. Yeah, like Randy just said, what's the smallest size or city area to get a reasonable list? It's hard to say, Randy. I don't want to give you a wrong answer. There's no rule of thumb. If you request one and it's too small, then we can just make it a little bit bigger for you by going broader. But I don't have a good answer for that, honestly. Yeah, somebody said, how can we tell if someone has requested the same list that we want to generate? Roger, it doesn't matter per se, but remember, there's giant amount of people and businesses in the U.S., and if you do a list in Des Moines, and I do a list in Des Moines, and you get, 1 out of every 10 even even respond to your message, and I get 1 out of every 5, even with the same list, it wouldn't matter. So, yeah, we don't know. I don't track how many times, somebody's asked for similar criteria. The reality is it's never mattered. Here's a good question. Somebody asked, Dan. Dan, this is what, I'm going to type it. I'm going to type this in. Actually, I'm going to type it live into the screen so you can see it. Hang on. One sec. Dan was asking about pricing tiers, you guys. Tiers. This is literally updated today, this morning. Let me, I'm writing this on the board. Or I'm writing this on a slide real fast, so give me 1 sec. All right. Almost, and we've got more tiers than I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you 3 of them right now, and then I'll put them in an email so you can, or I'll put them in a members area or something. But rather than fill up the board here, let's see. All right, so so on the 197 tier, we don't even offer it. First of all, it's a fallback when we're getting nowhere, or it's obviously a money issue and we can't get anything out of them. We want to get, even if we make nothing, we want to get them in the fold. And so we don't offer it. It's not on any proposals. We do a 397, 797, and 997 on the proposals. So 397, we do 2,000 and 5,000. I got a typo here. Hang on a sec. Okay, so, yeah, so you can see, just to answer that question. So Mike Martin asked a good question that kind of ties into this. Mike said, how many are you going to sell? I I think we said 175. So there's 1.8 million insurance agents, you guys. We're not going to sell any more than 175. We're going to close it down on Friday, actually. So we may not even sell that many. I've got some other stuff that I wanted to do, so I just wanted to fit this in right now rather than having waited till late November. So kind of shifting gears on some cool stuff next week. But if there's 1.8 million people, and I hate to say this, and this is just the brutal truth, and if you want the truth, I'm always going to try to tell you the truth. All of you may not even implement what we're showing you. You may not even copy anything. So what I've seen over the long haul is, at best, and you guys in general are better than what I see with other marketers because we chat about things, 50, 60% of them will do stuff. And out of those, some will only do a little bit, and some will be hot and heavy. Like Ken Lingle does a lot, Mike Elias does a lot, and there's some other guys, not to name a bunch of guys' names, that do a lot. So in terms of overlap, we're never going to touch it. It's the same thing in local marketing. Let's say the local marketing ecosystem is about 50 to 100,000 marketers selling to U.S. businesses. I can tell you on one hand how many times I've bumped into anybody, anybody I know or anybody tied into somebody else that I might know of. It just doesn't happen, you guys. I know sometimes it's hard to believe, but it's the truth. Let's see. Yeah, Leslie, good question. So Leslie just said, if you're doing business insurance, do you just get a list for a given niche? Yeah, that's all I would do. I would get a list and probably test out a script or two. I would copy the one that we use. It's probably going to work just as well. I might tweak it, though, if it's business side, Leslie, but doesn't get any easier than that.
You can drill into the list, too, with size and...
Yeah, and you can pick, maybe the size of the company, the age of the company. It's a way to sell. How many employees do they have? The insurance guys love it. I actually had coffee with a guy yesterday, an agent here that I had teed up, and what was he most ecstatic about? The ability to kind of target by the size and age of the business. So I'm telling you, when you're building value, the list side is so powerful because it seems mysterious to them, yet it's not very hard for you and I. Let's see. Yeah, you guys, I'm not writing LUDs to agents. We don't do any of that. This is just written for you guys. So, Sean, when you talk to, I'll let you answer this. Lori has a question. How do you explain the difference between a LUD or an RBM? So, if we're giving them 500 RBMs and 1,500 LUDs, you just say landline and cell phone?
Yeah. I think I've used the term... I'll ask him a lot, Lori, right when we start the conversation, do you have any background, do you have any knowledge of this service? Have some of you used a similar product or service in the past? Most of them don't. They have no idea. So I think, I just use the term. I do distinguish, though. I do call it landlines and, cell/mobile. I'll use the term ringless, but mainly I call it drops, just a general term. We do drops. I haven't had a lot of people ask me, really drill in to say, distinguish between landlines for me and, RVMs.
Yeah, we're not getting that kind of question.
It's just we do drops. Yes, we're going to hit landlines. Yes, we're going to hit mobile phones.
You get a mix.
You get a mix, and that's why you have a certain number of credits. But I don't get that too far in the weeds, nor do they ask me those specific type questions. At least I haven't gotten any of that so far.
So what about, Sean, playing off of that? If you're doing leads, it's 6 to 1, right, on the lead side, because all you're doing is counting a call over, say, let's just, for argument's sake, say 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And then in that case, you're not distinguishing at all.
No.
This is just the route we're going. Like we outlined in the program, you can do it either way, and the lead method has a lot of appeal. And I've done leads before. Just trying a different model for some reasons, some other reasons.
The appeal for them is reaching an audience that they have no way of reaching.
That's right.
That's it. So when you tell them, hey, I can reach persons turning 65 next year in the state of Georgia, boom, that's all they need to know. And if you can produce a list of 5,000 potential prospects for them, even better. But I've caught myself a couple times, like I said, getting into the terminology of it. Is it ringless? How does it really work? Is it a server-to-server connection? What happens? And they don't know it or they care. You may tell them. I don't like I said. I keep it very general. If they ask, I'll go there, but I haven't had to go too far into the weeds with them. Like I said, it all boils down to we can reach prospects and an audience that you can't. They can't.
It's top of the funnel. It's top of the funnel lead generation, demand generation. You're just getting people to call them, and then they do their thing. So no, we don't teach them how to sell. They're probably as good or better salespeople, you guys, than all of us, right? They're professional salespeople. I'm not teaching them what to say. We don't do any of that at all. Here's a good question from Sam over in North Carolina. Sam said, "At what speed do you send it out?" Sam, we vary it. We definitely don't spread it out over a whole month. It just depends. If it's one person that has a $1,000 package, then we're going to probably be doing multiple campaigns spread out. If it's somebody that has a little package, it might all happen over, a course of, 2 drops the same week. But we don't flood them in 30 seconds with all the calls.
Hey, Sam, the mistake I've seen, especially with call tracking now, is that when you pound them with phone calls and it's only one person on the back end taking the calls, when I go back in the call tracking and listen and see how many calls actually they took, it's shameful almost how many they miss. If you just pound them with, too many calls, they miss them. Just like I did on that test we did many months ago, you just miss too many of them, So, that's a setting that we can control, and you can kind of ask them too, based on the size of the list. How many calls would you, approximately like a day? We can pretty almost fine-tune that, but I wouldn't pound them unless they're ready for it, and B, they've got a staff if it's a big list. One person is just way too much. You're going to miss way too many calls, and they call you back and say, hey, I could only handle, X amount of calls, and we say, well, we delivered 100 drops, 100 calls went through. So it's all a case-by-case basis, I guess, is the best answer.
Here's a good question from Walt up in New Hampshire. Walt said, I'm not always getting first and last names when I get the email addresses or agency name. You know what, Walt, when you can get them, great. When you can't, it is what it is. I think the harsh reality of emailing is, even in my database, even in my internet marketing database, I probably have about 40% first and last name. That's 60% names that I don't even have a name associated with, or I only have a first name. And you know what? I don't let it stand in the way. You just have to be careful when you architect. You don't want to be the guy. How many times have you seen this, right? You don't have first and last name in the record, and you do a message with a wild card like F name, hello F name, and then since you didn't have the first name, it just writes hello F name. You're like, yeah, you don't want to do that. Just say hello and don't put their name. So I don't think it's the end of the world at all. Farhan asked, hey Farhan, how can you track calls? So we use a third-party program called ACT. Excuse me, guys, I'm getting over a lingering cough. With ACT, it's really, really simple. There's a lot of other packages, CallFire. There's a lot of programs that do call tracking. I mean, there are so many of them. We're going to throw up, for anybody that wants it, if you want us just to bill you, we'll just bill you the hard cost or something. We'll come up with a little system if you want to use our call tracking, and we can make it available to you. You log in and see it all, and you don't have to buy another product. Now, we have a hard cost for it. Unfortunately, it's not unlimited. It's real. Basically, it runs through Twilio credits and time and stuff like that. But there's no limit of call tracking products out there, and I'm not going to sit here and endorse which one you should use. it is important that you use it because
Yes.
it helps to showcase the value far in and what you're providing. Because at the end of the month, like to Ken's point earlier, if your guy's getting good callback, like Ken just said, pretty strong callback, and they're getting a lot of messages, what if their yo-yos answering the phone are horrible?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can show them because you have a recording of it. Or you could say, well, you didn't take any of the calls. You know, they all went to voicemail. Sean and I saw that the other day.
Right.
Customer sent all the calls to voicemail. Like, I was shocked. And I'm like, are you seriously in business? But, you know, it is what it is.
Or wasn't prepared to take the calls on the back end. Didn't know what to say. You know, someone called, hey, just got your message. What do you got? And they don't have anything to say.
Like,
you know, they're like,
it was crazy.
You know.
Totally crazy. Let's see. Lisa Curry. Hey, Lisa. Lisa had some struggles with email. And to Lisa's point, the MailChimp, I mean, we were using it. You guys have been using it for years. For whatever reason, they recently have become more restrictive. I've been using SendGrid and completely unsolicited, you know, completely bulk emailing, no nothing, right? No, you know, this is no opt-ins that I got or anything like that. Just the same way we're talking about. And for whatever reason, I think emailing is always going to be a bit of an art. And when I say art, I use that word loosely. It's not a science. It always has been. But for instance, usually when you use these programs, they evaluate you based on your unsubscribes or your spam reports, right? So if you're getting a lot of spam reports, you run the risk of getting crushed out. So let me show you something from, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to show it to you, Elise. So our reputation score, I think in SendGrid, this little reputation score, 80 or better keeps you healthy. Ours is 98. Emails remaining. I told you we're doing a 40,000 plan with SendGrid because Infusionsoft's our main provider that we use, but we don't use it for any of this. So today we sent, looks like 2,021 emails. I think we did a follow-up in the sequence. You can see the deliverability rate. You can see the open rate. I mean, I think you guys can see it. You can see the bounces. I had 2 spam reports, but the open rate is solid. I mean, you can't complain with that. Oh, I'm sure we can complain, but 72 unsubscribes right now. So, look, when you get, if somebody cancels you like MailGrid or something, not MailGrid, MailChimp, I highly suggest trying SendGrid. Mike Elias made a really nice post in the members area the other day. It might have been last night. And tweak some things. I suspect that if you manage your account, and you know, it doesn't mean weird things won't happen to you. You'll be fine. Not doing anything different than we described. Nothing different. Now we've created some new emails and new campaigns. We're happy to share them with you, but you know, we're constantly testing things to see what works and what doesn't work. So I will tell you that if you use our email plugin, I will see if I can give it to all of you guys. I have to check. So I did a deal with another internet marketer where I had the right to resell his email plugin. It was a pretty cool little tool. It had to be $47 or more. I just want to make sure there's no issues. As long as somebody paid $47 or more, I should be able to give you the product for free. Lisa, make sure you check in with Vanessa because I want to make sure you have it. Because you can always send using your domain as long as you don't send from Gmail and Yahoo, and I know you were not. I know you just kind of just sort of fell between the cracks, and we're a little bit of a victim here. You just want to find whatever it takes to do the outbound generation, and I know you know this, but you guys, it's so important. Yeah, Roger, it's Brett's mail system. It's a good little tool. Let's see. Yeah, HE. I don't know. Could be the HP product. I don't. You have to hit up Mark. Hit up Helton on that. I can't speak to that, but I'll tell you what. I mean, you saw it right there. Let's see. And oh, you know what I'm going to do for you guys? I don't know if I told you this. Hey, Vanessa, are you on the call? I think she's here. Hang on. She hides out sometimes in the background answering questions.
I was muted because I couldn't clap and talk to myself.
I knew she was here. Did you get my message about that insurance list and everything yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, just send me an email on that, because what I want to do is, just give me an update. I want to create a, what I want to do, you guys, is we've put together a pretty big insurance list. We had already built our own pretty solid data, over 25,000, and I went out and spent some money and bought a bunch of other ones. And then what we're doing is we're removing the bad data from the ones that we bought. We're going to make it available for y'all to do like some queries and say, put it into our support desk and say, hey, I need to get agents in this area. And whatever our criteria is, we'll let you do it. There's no fee. I mean, if we have the data, I'm not going to send everybody the dump or anything like that of all of our data. But if you say, I want to get, like Mike, you want to get agents in Gwinnett and, wherever it may be, these 5 cities, I think we can pull that together and provide it for you guys at no cost. And if it makes it easier for you and gives you better data, I'm all about it. And just, Vanessa, let me know when you think we'll have that ready. We can follow up after the call or something. I just wanted to check in on that.
Okay, cool. Talk to you after the call about it.
Cool. Yep. And let's see. All right, let me go back. I see some other good questions here too. Yeah, Dan, it looks like Vanessa's way ahead of me. She's answered a lot of those questions back. All right. Yeah, so Randy, we're using SendGrid. Look, your mileage is going to vary. Randy asked about what email system. I've used iContact forever successfully for this kind of stuff. I've used Constant Contact. You know what? At the end of the day, you never know. You truly never know what's going to set off somebody. Yeah, Mike Martin said, do you have sample scripts for recording voice drop calls? Yes, they're in the members area, Mike. We do have to, I don't think we've uploaded a commercial script. It's almost the same thing. I would probably tweak it. We'll run a test campaign and split test 2 and see 2 or 3 of them, and we'll see which ones pull the best. But the personal stuff's pretty solid. And we've tested both healthcare, P&C, and life. It's been solid. I'll tell you another one that's been good for insurance, you guys. And this came from one of our new clients. He said, look, every agent is doing follow-ups with their clients, right, on a regular basis. So if you have 70 or 500 clients and you want to schedule annual follow-ups, it's a great, easy broadcast to get out there. And it's a pain for these guys to reach these people to schedule it. My guy was elated about that, and he's an older agent. He's been in the business like 25, 30 years. Well, maybe not 30, 25 years. He's got a heck of a lot of clients. And when he realized he can do this and kind of create a more streamlined system for his annual follow-ups, he was pretty happy. Let's see. Yeah, Ken said, how can you get recurring at 400? I haven't met a lot of people who want, a ton of drops. So, Ken, nobody wants a ton of drops. They just want results. So, yeah, it's important to don't get in the weeds on the bits and the bytes. All they want is business value. They just want phone calls. Most agents want one thing. They just want their phone to ring. That's it. They want to land more clients. They want to fill the top of the funnel. If you get down to specific, I want 140 this and that, you're gonna create more controversy. But no, everybody we're talking to, I mean, I've been on the phone with Sean all morning. Everybody we're talking to is trying to land business. Everybody's trying to close business. And then in the healthcare area, which we already kind of talked about, everybody is working against a deadline and trying to reach as many people as possible and, to take advantage of this. So now we've seen it a little different. We're hitting lots of insurance agents. We haven't had any issue whatsoever. Sean, have you had have you had pushback? Or if you had, you want to just kind of describe it on the whole recurring? Have you had people that said, I only want to do this once? Like, have you had any of that kind of feedback, or just share whatever makes sense?
I mean, the only pushback I've gotten is just, again, make it short. Tell me what you got. I'm busy.
Yeah, we get that.
I haven't had any.
Curt replies for sure.
In terms of, I think they all want to try it. I think my biggest issue has been they want to try it for free initially and not pay anything, which isn't in the plan. But no, they're certainly interested. They want to try it. Again, I haven't had a ton of pushback. I really haven't. The call's been all positive for the most part. They want to try it out, anxious to the results. They think about all the applications for it potentially for them. I think somebody made a good point earlier on the call, though, is to try to set it up as a long-term sale, though, not just kind of a one-time campaign, all or nothing. Is this going to work? And then we part ways. We want to get them on as long-term customers, beyond the first 30 days. So. Oh.
Hey, you guys, instead of ending this call right now, I actually have a client I got to meet with right now. Sean was going to take a few more questions, and we didn't want to cut you off. Sean's right here. Yeah, Dave sent it in, and yeah, if you guys have any questions we haven't missed, I'll put them up. Sean, that's how you can sign.
I can get back to most of these guys if you just.
Yeah, let me give you this. I got a good problem. I've got a guy right now that I'm supposed to meet with. So
I'll get back to these guys.
Yeah, I'll let you handle it, and then Vanessa, if you help kill it at the end, so we get a good recording. I don't want to miss anybody's questions, but I also don't want to miss this deal. So keeping it real, I'm going to take this and let Sean answer one or two more if there's anybody missing.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Vanessa,
and I'm here
there?
too. Yep. I'm answering questions as fast as my fingers will fly in the Q&A box.
All right. Are they? Do you see some of the questions kind of teed up here?
Yeah. There's lots of questions about the pricing in the different tiers.
Right.
Let's see. Okay, here we go. For example, $997 tier includes 7,500 RVM, 15K LUD, so for 22.5 total.
Right.
So it's about pricing, the difference between LUD's pricing and RVM, what the total cost is.
The total, the cost. We just determine our cost per, cost per the landline drops and the cost per the RVM, which is a little different, and then base our profit margin, what we want to, price it out at based on that. So that's how the tier pricing is kind of set up, if that's what they're asking.
Right. So we can Voice Drops subscription members get the members-only pricing. The current RVM pricing is, I think, on average, 0.375, like 3.75 cents, and landline is about 2. If you've been saving up your monthly credits, you might have some more already stockpiled. And we could talk to Brian about this since he's not on the call. We can go behind his back and maybe make some promises and then make him keep them. We do bulk buys where if we can get enough people we can get the rate down to like 3.2 on the RVM side. So if you guys are interested in that, it's available to VoiceDrop subscribers. So if you're in that group and are interested in that big bulk buy, let me know. Send me a ticket, and if I can get enough interest, I bet I can talk Brian into letting us put one together.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time we did that bulk buy. Was that probably 2 months ago?
It was, yeah. Okay. Hey, Sean, what's your 30-second pitch? No pressure.
Well,
Your 30-second pitches.
hey, look, I'm a pretty laid back guy. I'm not a hard charging sales guy, you know. So, I mean, my pitch, I try to put it back on them. I mean, I don't like talking for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, even a minute straight. I mean, so I always start with a question, you know, which is obviously they have some interest when they call back in. Hi, you know, thanks for calling back in. Sounds like you have some interest in this. You know, what's your familiarity with this? And usually they talk for 30 seconds. You know, they'll tell me, here's who I am. It's the old kind of sales thing. It's better when the customer's talking and you're asking them kind of open-ended questions just to get a feel. I don't want to go into a pitch if I don't even know what type of insurance they're selling. Am I talking to a property and casualty guy, a business insurance guy, a health insurance person, you know, Medicare, more Medicare, life insurance. So I try to get at least some background information. If they don't know anything about it, I'll say, look, I'm going to give you, again, the 30-second kind of nuts and bolts of the program, the system, the process, how it works, okay? We do this. You know, we provide, you know, ringless voicemail technology to, you know, both landlines and mobile phones that we can deliver to a large audience, you know, very quickly. And we have the ability to pull these lists, these wide varying demographic type lists, you know, to reach a target audience that frankly you can't. And we develop custom scripts, you know, based on that, and launch campaigns for you. And just get them talking kind of back and forth and kind of how it may fit into their particular business. They'll usually tell you, you know. So I just hit on the main 3 points, kind of like we do, you know, every week, which is, you know, what's the niche, you know, pull a list, and, you know, hone in on a real customized script. Those are the components, and launch it. That's it. You know, if they want to get further in the weeds, then, you know, we can talk about ports and how to do it, and you know, what does RVM really mean, and all that. But I haven't really had to get to that level yet.
I've got one question that I see a question that I can field. Josh would like to know on the fulfillment, how it works with VoiceDrops. So if you're a VoiceDrops member, you have a VoiceDrops white label master account where you can run RVM, that's ringless voicemails, yourself or with a done-for-you service where we set it up for you. As a white label account holder, which all of our members are, you can create sub-accounts, and that's really great for organization. If you have customers and you want to cap out that they only have 2,500 credits, it's super easy to make a sub-account, and we've got training in the VoiceDrops group. You don't have to give them access to their own software. You can run it for them. In fact, we don't give anyone but you, our customers, access. We don't give retail customers access. And then you run the RVMs for them out of their sub-account. So it only uses the credits that you've delegated for them. Now for landline drops, you can still use the done-for-you service for your customers. We run those on our side. It's a different system. It's a different area. So there's no muddling. You provide the audio file. We can pull the list to your specifications. We set the numbers to the tracking numbers or direct lines that you choose, and they just get the return calls. So, Josh, can you let me know if that answers your question? Oh, also, how do we get the customer list? Unlimited list generation for numbers in the United States and Canada is a included done-for-you service with the VoiceDrops subscription. So we have request forms where you can set the criteria that you want to search for. Say you want renters in Los Angeles who make, on average, more than $150,000 a year.
Between
We can generate
ages
that list for
of,
you. Oh, yeah, we
right.
can even, identify down to ages. Now, the more criteria you specify, the smaller the list gets. But if you've got an insurance agent who really wants to sell renters insurance, the fact that you can generate a list for them of, from 1,000 to 5,000 potential customers who are identified in public record as renting, or most, I think there's two tiers of that. There's renter and most likely renter, like not confirmed, but
Right.
anyway, details.
Yeah, I
That's a
think
huge benefit. Hmm.
yeah, I was going to say, yes, I think it's exactly that. That was likely homeowner and homeowner. I think it was
Likely, that's what it is. Yes.
four kind of filters, I guess.
Hmm. And then we provide you the list. It doesn't have emails. It is a phone list for voice drops, but of course you get the list. You can use it however you see fit outside of voice drops also. But that is a done-for-you service included with your voice drops membership. Okay, I'm going to jump back into the Q&A box. Here's a question. On the sub-user's account, you don't have to put their email address in it. You can put any kind of dummy email address. The email address is just used for logging in, and since you're not going to give them login privileges, you could, do johnsmith@gmail.com. Because you don't even have to log in as them to use the system. You can log in as yourself, and then you have access to all your sub-clients, sub-accounts, the accounts under your master account, so that they will not be notified at all of anything that's going on. Let's see. Okay, so the scripts for outgoing RVMs and LUDs, Brian mentioned in the members area. Specifically, they're in the paintbynumbers.club/insurance members area. And they are under the resources header. Drop down that menu or go to the resources page and there's a menu. It's towards the bottom, sample audio fulfillment scripts. Okay. Here's a great question. Do you train the agent on what to say when he gets the incoming calls, if they haven't listened to the message? We have a recommendation for how to handle incoming calls from the caller ID. We call it the call fire method because we have, when we first started the training, we were mostly using call fire as the service, the third-party service that received the incoming calls, like call tracking. What it does is if you use a different caller ID number through a tracking service than the number you state audibly in the voicemail message, what you get then is the numbers, the people who dial the number from the audio voicemail, that means they've listened to your voicemail, they wrote down the number, they want to talk to you about what your message told them about, and they're calling you. That's super hot lead. But admittedly, someone who just goes, I missed a call from you, that's a cold lead. They haven't been warmed up to what you're talking about. So if your tracking number for the caller ID feeds to a service that plays a sorry I missed your call message as if they received your voicemail, you then have the opportunity to give them a version of your voice drop again. Hey, I'm sorry I missed your call. I was calling you about renter's insurance. I've got this great deal, and I know that you're renting in Los Angeles. I've got something that could help you out so you don't lose everything if your apartment building burns down, or however you want to word that outgoing message. If you're ready to talk to me about this, press 1, and you'll be connected to my phone. And then that service sends that now warm lead, this person who's chosen to talk to you, to that original number from your voicemail. So the insurance agent ends up only getting live phone calls from people, 99%, somebody might work their way through that system, but 99% of the calls that the insurance agent ends up actually physically taking and talking to, super warm leads.
Right.
Sean, did that make sense? Did I take care of that question well, do you think?
Yeah. And I'll just it goes without saying, I always just also give them the caller ID, and obviously if it's tracking numbers, I give them the tracking number of the caller ID, so they know if it's just a, you know, a callback, redial, and I give them obviously the tracking number used in the message, so at least gives them a little tip off, if they will, if it's just coming back to one person. Like, that's how I do it, so I can identify by the number coming in, okay, this is just a, you know, a callback from the caller ID. Oh, this person actually listened to the message. It gives them a little heads up before they take the call. Just is one thing I do. So I always give them the numbers, and probably everybody does, but that's just kind of, that gives them a little heads up. But the nice thing too about the call tracking software is then you can go back and, you know, you can listen to the calls, you know, and listen to the person who took the call. And you know, there's some that you go, wow, that sounds just fantastic. They handled that really well. Nice long conversation. You know, that could materialize into something. And there's some you just, you know, you cringe sometimes, you know. So then you can show them that later on just for reporting as well, you know. Say, hey, you got so many calls, a couple went to voicemail here automatically, and then, man, you know, whoever handled this call, you know, really needs some help, you know.
Let's see. Oh yeah, and here's a real quick question about the call tracking. The Press 1 feature, that's a call tracking, third-party, not related to voice drops feature. Voice drops is just playing a message. There's no live connection, so we can't do a Press 1 because we never have a live person on the other phone. It's just a static audio file, either on a voicemail or an answering machine. So if you were checking your voicemail and you're just listening to a message, there's no Press 1. I mean, I guess you could hit call return, but there's no Press 1 to connect live. The only way a Press 1 feature works is if someone is live on the phone interacting with a service that can then connect, and that is through the ACT or CallFire call tracking service. We do not yet have the $1 trial back for ACT. This is a great question, and everybody wants it. I want it for you. The owner of ACT is no longer offering a $1 trial. So it's not that he's not giving it to us. He's not giving it to anybody. So Brian is trying to work that out, trying to talk him into letting us do that, if not for the world, at least for us, so we can get call tracking trials back.
And I think we'll have our offering, I guess. We'll have something out there on the new website, I think, right, Vanessa, maybe at some point here soon, just if people need access to call tracking, you know.
Yes. Here's a question. And Sean, you'll have to take this because admittedly, I've never logged into ACT, so I always have to defer to Sean. So with ACT, are you setting up 2 companies for each client? One for a company incoming that you would assign to one number, and another for company voicemail that would be your caller ID number?
Well, it's set up by company, so I'm setting it up by campaign or company. I'm assigning essentially 3 numbers per company or campaign. I'm assigning a caller ID number. I'm assigning the number that's going to be used in the message itself. And then the last number is the pointed to ring to message, where the calls are going, whether it be a single number or kind of a round robin situation if it's more than one. So per campaign, I'm assigning 2 tracking numbers pointing to a ring to number, if that answers the question, per single list or campaign.
So that way, if someone listens to the voicemail and calls, they still get a tracking number, even though we want them to go to our agent, our end answerer. We still want it to go through ACT or CallFire, the call tracking number, so we can count how many results we got. But then the reason for the caller ID tracking number is A, to track the call returns, we want that data, but also to play them the outgoing message to warm them up. Is that correct, Sean?
Yes, yeah, like for today too, and I think we were setting up, we had a list of about 1,000 or thereabouts, a list of 1,000. We wanted to test 2 different scripts just to see which one performed better. So in this case, we split the list up, 500 here, 500 there, and we assigned a total of 4 tracking numbers, 2 for script 1, 2 for script 2, and we just named it within the program itself, had a campaign name, and they both pointed to the same number, but it's going to give us the data then to see which one possibly pulled better from those two.
All right, we've got some requests for you to do a how-to video on ACT, Sean. I tell you what, I'll film you the next time I come down.
I'm the ACT expert here.
Does ACT probably has some extensive training. We might see if we can't rip down some videos from them and put it in the membership
It's pretty
area.
cool. It's pretty cool. It's very easy. It sounds even when I started it, but once you get in there, it's pretty easy. The hardest part, honestly, I have is, and I think this may just be due to the fact that it's political season and they're doing a lot of robocalls. There's a lot of numbers being purchased out there. Is sometimes I just cannot get certain area codes in certain states, whatever it is. For example, now like Florida, Virginia. There's one yesterday, I just could not find any area codes. And that's what I try to do is, wherever your campaign is, if it's a regional campaign, we do try to pull, regional area codes. So it's the Bay Area, we're trying to get 4015, and for Atlanta, we're trying to get 404, 770 numbers. So sometimes they're hard to get, I guess is what happens. But other than that, it's once you get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but really good. Since we started really using it a lot, boy, it really gives you some really good reporting information.
And that reporting is so important for client retention. When you can go to a customer and say, hey, just following up, I want to let you know what a great job I did for you. If you don't brag on yourself, nobody's going to brag on you. And having that quantifiable evidence, I sent you with my service X number of calls. I've reviewed, I guess, I don't know if you would, you'll have the audio files there that they can review. But, saying, the voice drops were this effective, this is how many calls came to you live, this is how many dropped off on the outgoing, the caller ID warm-up message, like, here's what we can do to change it, this is how I think we can get better results.
Right. It's really cool. I get a kick out of it now. I'll walk in the office in the morning. It's almost the first thing. If we got a campaign that ran the night before, it's always interesting to come in the morning and go to the program right away, and you kind of hold your breath, as you kind of the program's open to see how many calls they've gotten, because they'll tally it all up. So you can stare at the screen and go, oh my God, he's really got a ton of calls today. And you can check in with them, and but you got to have it. I think I had a call. It was either today or yesterday. It's the same thing. It's like, hey, maybe they say they're not getting a lot of calls. Well, how do you know until you have the data in front of you? You don't know. And assigning the tracking numbers is just the easiest, cheapest way to get that data. It should be done almost every time.
All right, I think I was trying to answer HE's question, and I might have put the answer in the wrong. So if somebody got a confusing answer, I'll explain it right now. The question was, so you're saying don't use the client's real phone number in the message. What we're saying is have a tracking number that forwards straight to the agent's direct phone number. So if their number is 555-6666, have a tracking number that the customer dials 555-7777 that imperceptibly forwards straight through to that original 555-666 number. No one knows that anything happened except over in the call tracking site, it ticks and counts that incoming call as driven by your services.
Right.
Imperceptibly. Am I saying it right, Kristen?
I'm going to look that up.
No V. It's a B, not a V. So in other words, if the client is recording his own message, he should use our ACT number exactly. Yes. That is absolutely correct. Excellent question.
So sometimes we get scripts in. Script's great, but they don't have the right. They need they need a tracking number assigned by you or by us to use within the body of the message.
Excellent question. Okay, let me see. Mike is clarifying. Sorry to keep asking about example scripts. Do not apologize. We are here to help. The samples are the ones sent to consumers. Those are the fulfillment scripts. If you're in the Paint by Numbers membership area above that one, there's a voice drops to agent. I think it's called prospecting scripts. Let me jump in over there and tell you exactly what to do. Sample voice drops to agents audio file. That is where you can get what we dropped to agents. Yes, Bud. We have a lot of training on call tracking in the voice drops area, but we can do another one, but that's going to be a voice drops members training as it's associated with the voice drops membership. Okay. Mike tells me I'm still getting it wrong. Okay, there's in the drop-down menu, there's 2 pages. Sample voice drops to agents audio file, and that's where we dropped a message to insurance agents to get them to call us. Right below that is sample fulfillment audio files, and those are samples of voice drops that agents, air quotes, would send to consumers to get consumers to call the agents.
Right. Need to talk to you about your Medicare enrollment date.
I'm typing some answers. I actually had somebody ask me where the support desk was, and I thought if I have said one word in my life more than I've said get support.biz, I'd take $1 million. I feel like I mumble that in my sleep. If you need anything, if we're not on a call, if it's account specific or just not something you want to post in a Facebook group, www.getsupport.biz. We are always on the desk from 8 to 5 Eastern, Monday through Friday. We're usually on the desk way more than that. Somebody is checking it pretty much constantly, but I can't go on record as saying it's guaranteed. So if you need us, that's where we are. And let's see. A lot of folks are asking about voice drops, the different membership levels for voice drops. If you go to voicedrops.net/big, B-I-G, it compares all the different features of the different accounts. So if you want to check it out there and then send me a ticket, we can talk about what best fits your needs. Revenue Boosters Gold and Platinum includes all the features of a Voice Drops basic account, which is the $197 price point. Let's see, any more questions? Oh, this one's for Sean. So Sean, do you not have a $697 price point in your insurance agent proposals? Did you change from $697 pricing from the merchant services up to $997 for insurance agents? I think is the question.
For merchant service or insurance or just look, we've tinkered around quite a bit with the pricing levels and have kind of settled on 4 at this point. And I'm not sure if Brian went over them earlier, but so our pricing levels go $197. $397, $797, $997. Those are the 4 levels. The insurance guys, I start at $397. They just seem to be, it just seems to be a better fit, and it's a good level for them just in terms of what you get credit-wise. The merchant guys, there's a lot of just single operators, single businesses. They're not part of a large organization. They're a little more, price sensitive, I guess. It's out of their wallet. So there's a lot of $197 starter merchant service guys, more so than probably, frankly, $397. But the 4 levels: $197, $397, $797, $997. I mean, I'm like you. I'm open to negotiation, I guess, if it came to that point. But I haven't had to really do too much. I mean, they usually fit into one of those 4 pricing tiers, usually. If that answers the question.
I think so. Let's see. I was typing away. I have one question that really does apply to both our Revenue Boosters group and our Paint by Numbers group. The question is, do Revenue Boosters members get Paint by Number niches for free? And the answer is pretty much. Any Gold and Platinum Revenue Booster, anytime we have a Paint by Number niche release, after you pay for your first month's membership, you then, from then on out, will get a 100% off coupon for any future Paint by Number product. If you are a Revenue Boosters Silver member or a Voice Drops member without a Revenue Boosters membership connected, you get a 50% off coupon, all future Paint by Number niches. So, if you are a Revenue Booster Gold or Platinum, Gold is our most common. It's $397 a month, but you get the $197 Voice Drops Basic account, and you get the $197 all the contents of the Silver account, which includes the Propose It software and the training calls and all that goodness. But then you also get all the Paint by Numbers courses. And if we're doing 2 a month, which is what we're rocking and rolling with, that's another, forgive my round-up math, another $200. So for Revenue Boosters Gold, if you get 2 Paint by Numbers and the Voice Drops Basic, it's paying for itself. So if anybody needs information on that, you can check out the packages at revenueboosters.net/subscribe. And that's got the different Revenue Boosters membership levels. Okay? Let's see if there are any questions we can. Let's see. Sean, do you have anything? I think a lot of the questions might be. Sean, are you still there?
I'm here, yeah.
Okay. I was like, don't leave me alone.
I wouldn't do that.
I have lost track of where I was in the question, so forgive me while I try to catch back up and find my place. Here's a question. If I have a hot prospector account, do I get Voice Drops with that? John, if you're referring to Wiz Sales Systems, if you'll send me a ticket, we can work with you on that. But I'll need to look at your account specifically. Now, there's a lot of like little questions about what's our profit margin, how are we making money at 197 with 2,000 drops, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is where all the different price points, you can get drops for as much as 12 cents a credit or for as little as 2.5 cents a credit, depending on how many you buy, depending on your membership, depending on the vouchers you get with your membership. If you have Voice Drops 197, which is a basic account, you get, with your subscription, vouchers for 1,000 RVMs and 3,500 landline credits a month. You get that for 197. So if you have paid your 197 a month subscription, you have more than twice what you're selling here. So if you have one customer who pays you 197, they're paying for your membership and only taking half of your credits. And then you then have twice again as many credits to sell another 197 customer. And if you're just using this one pot, you can take that $200 and buy more credits at membership pricing. And again, the more you buy, the cheaper the credits are, the higher your profit margin. So yeah, if you're buying them, air quotes, retail drops as not a Voice Drops subscriber and you're paying 12 cents a drop, that's going to be not a great profit margin. So you could either charge more or become a Voice Drops subscriber and get better pricing. Does that make sense? Sean, you have to tell me if that makes sense.
That makes sense. I'm sorry. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Sorry. I was just thinking something here. I'm sorry.
Look, if nobody stops me, I'm just going to keep, I'll just keep chitter-chattering until somebody says, oh, I get it. All right.
Anything else in there, Vanessa?
There are some like specifics that I don't understand, like how are you tracking LUDs used per month since it's done for you? All of our landline drop services are done on a separate system, and we track each user's LUDs behind the scenes, much how you how you have sub accounts for your customers. We have a system where we've created anyone who pays for the LUD services in their subscription has their own sub account where we track your credits individually. And while you don't have access to that accounting, we report it back to you whenever you need it, or whenever you run a landline service, we give you your accounting with your reports.
Yeah, you're getting a report right after any LUD campaign. You're getting a report. They'll give you a detailed report of successful drops versus those that were not successful after every campaign. You'll get that report.
And here's a great question. Can you buy voice drops credits without a subscription? The answer is kind of. In the past, we have offered and sold software license with no subscription, no membership. That was before we had landline services. When we added landline services, voice drops went to an exclusively subscription-based model where there is no one-time purchase for the software license, because to make sure we are compliant with all laws and Federal Trade Commission rules and liability, etc., we only do landline drops. They're not available as a do-it-yourself service. So, if in the past you have bought a one-time license, yes, you can buy RVM credits and run RVMs without a subscription. And a lot of people have that. We have probably sold... There's probably 500 people that have just the software license and don't have a subscription, and that's fine. But over the past, I guess it started 6 months ago when we added landline service, all new customers, there is no longer a one-time software license. So to access voice drops, software, and done-for-you services at all as a new customer, you have a subscription and thusly have access to members-only pricing. Okay. Well, my Q&A has stopped scrolling like the Matrix, but I admit that I have probably, I don't think I've ever seen this many questions. This is amazing. I love this level of interactivity. But that means probably I have missed somebody, and I just want to say it's not intentional. I'm not skipping over on purpose, but it is 3:30, and I've done my best. If I missed you, please send me a ticket at www.getsupport.biz or tag me in a post in one of our Facebook groups. But all personal and individual account questions, billing, access, passwords, etc., have to go through the support desk so that we can communicate confidentially. We don't want to spill your business all over Facebook. So I will wrap this up. Sean, do you have anything that we missed?
No, I think same with me. If anybody needs any assistance, let me know, and keep the feedback coming, and let us know we can help.
All right. Yes, Jurgen, I'm going to do this personal bit real quick. Yes, Brian said one afternoon this week, so I'm about to write you a ticket. I'm going to respond to your ticket and let you know. Okay, so I'm going to clip that part in off of our recording and say, have an awesome day. And if you need us, hit me up in the support desk. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.